I was in the middle of a video call with several shareholders when my high school class group, which had been silent for a decade, suddenly exploded with notifications. Megan, did you see Felicity's post? She's getting married today. Are you really not coming? As the messages flooded in, I realized that Felicity Simons, the prom queen of our high school, was tying the knot. All our old classmates were attending, I replied, trying to keep it professional. Sorry, I'm swamped with work at the moment. But the responses were swift and brutal. What could you possibly be busy with? Someone who hasn't posted in 100 years must be doing pretty poorly. Seriously, just admit you're embarrassed and stop pretending to be so busy. Felicity chimed in herself. Remember our bet? I always said I'd marry someone better than you, I shot back. Can't say I recall that immediately. Others jumped in. Felicity's husband is the CEO of a publicly traded company. They even sent over 100 luxury cars to pick her up today. Sounds like you're worried about how your life compares, so you're pretending to forget. Maybe you're so broke you can't even afford a wedding gift. Why not start a crowdfunding campaign to help you chip in? Under the barrage of comments, Felicity tagged me again, putting on a show of graciousness. I really hope you can make it to my wedding to witness my happy moment. Since we're classmates, I'll have my husband arrange a cleaning job for you. With that, she posted a stunning photo of herself and her husband in wedding attire. My jaw dropped when I saw her husband's face. That was Logan Ridley, my husband who married into my family. Sure, I'll definitely come to witness your happiness, I typed back, my fingers shaking slightly. Just as I hit send, my phone buzzed with a message from Logan. Hey, babe, I'm heading back to my hometown to see my parents today. I've already prepped dinner and left it in the fridge for you. Just heat it up when you're ready. Love you always. Logan had moved in with me 3 years ago, always looking out for me and taking care of everything. Even when he stepped out, he never forgot to prepare for my daily needs. I used to be touched by his thoughtful gestures, but now all I felt was a sense of absurdity. I abruptly ended the video call and drove to the address Felicity had shared in the group. As I approached her home, I spotted a massive red banner hanging over the entrance, warmly welcoming Mr. Ridley, president of All Grand Group, to the wedding. Beneath the banner stood Felicity, resplendent in a snow-white couture wedding gown, eagerly awaiting her groom. A crowd of our high school classmates surrounded her, buzzing with excitement. Felicity, you really kept this under wraps. We had no idea you were marrying the CEO of All Grand Group. Seriously, Mr. Ridley is a well-known entrepreneur. You've hit the jackpot, Felicity. You're about to be a high society lady. Don't forget about us little people. Even our high school teacher, Amanda Lane, was there, fawning over Felicity. Felicity, the first time I laid eyes on you, I knew you were destined for greatness. That's why I never scolded you for your grades. I knew you were born to be wealthy and didn't need to rely on academic achievements. As the crowd showered her with compliments, Felicity wore a triumphant smile, her eyes sparkling with self-satisfaction. Logan had been living with me for years, seemingly doing nothing productive. To help him gain experience, I had entrusted him with managing the smallest company under my name, All Grand Group. Little did I know that would become the very capital Felicity was now flaunting to bask in the spotlight. When I walked in, the classmates, who had been so eager to flatter her just moments ago, suddenly furrowed their brows, looking at me with evident disdain. One of Felicity's lackeys spotted the car behind me and rushed over with a sneer. Megan, you're really something else. Did you actually rent a Bentley just to come to Felicity's wedding and save face? At that, the others chimed in with scornful remarks. No wonder you had the nerve to show up. You just wanted to play pretend, right? Renting a car like that must cost you at least 3 months' salary. Some people just love to put on a show. As if pretending to be rich could ever stack up against Felicity's husband. Seriously, is it that hard to admit others are doing better than you? Why go through all that trouble to rent a fancy car just to keep up with the Joneses? Despite their derogatory comments, I remained calm. Actually, it's my car, I replied evenly. Before I could gather my thoughts, Felicity suddenly stepped in front of me, her expression furious. She raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. Your car? This is clearly my husband's car. I've suspected my husband was seeing someone else on the side, and now I find out it's you. You little tramp. You shameless gold digger. How dare you show up at my wedding, driving my husband's car to taunt me, the legitimate wife. Felicity's words left everyone around us wide-eyed and in disbelief. Felicity, is that car really your husband's? No way, one classmate exclaimed, incredulous. Felicity puffed up with pride, her chin held high. Of course it's real. Why would I lie? With that, she pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos of her and Logan. There were shots of them snuggled up in the car and others of them lounging on the hood, looking cozy and intimate. The details inside the car and the license plate were unmistakably clear. The crowd gasped collectively. Holy crap! It really is Felicity's husband's car. That means Megan must be the other woman. Felicity's expression twisted into a scowl, her eyebrows knitting together in anger. No wonder you've been so quiet all these years. Turns out you've just been playing the side chick. The crowd turned their eyes to me, their expressions a mix of shock and disdain. I can't believe it. Megan looks so put together, yet she's been sneaking around as someone's mistress, right? I used to think she was this cool, aloof, straight-A student. I even wrote her a love letter back in high school. Now it feels gross just thinking about it. Some people act all innocent on the outside, but behind closed doors, they're a whole different story. The moment they see a wealthy guy, they're practically begging for attention. Look at her, flaunting the sugar daddy's car right in front of the real wife. She must be jealous of Felicity getting married and is trying to ruin the wedding. Even Amanda looked at me with contempt, her voice dripping with disdain. Megan, when you're out in public, please don't mention that you were my student. I never taught anyone with such a lack of morals. The crowd's chatter turned into a frenzy, drawing in onlookers who pointed fingers and whispered. Some even took out their phones to record while others spat in my direction. In a fit of anger, I ripped off my designer coat, which was worth tens of thousands of dollars, and tossed it into a nearby trash can. I turned to face Felicity, my voice steady and fierce. You should really ask Logan who the real mistress is before you start throwing accusations around. Once I finished, Felicity slapped me hard across the face. Do you really need to ask? Today is my wedding day with Logan. Can't you see that? She pointed angrily at my car, her voice rising. I absolutely despise mistresses. All of them deserve to be punished. With that, she pulled out a key and scratched the words Mistress Die across my car's paint. I glanced at the glaring letters, a chill running down my spine. You'll soon realize just how ironic those words are. Felicity's anger boiled over you shameless hussy. You're stealing my husband and then mocking me. Just thinking about my husband's car being driven by a skank like you makes me sick. With that, she picked up a brick from the ground and began smashing it against my car. She hit the windows, the headlights, the hood. Nothing was spared. Felicity is going to be the future First Lady of all Grand Group. We can't let her be bullied by a lowlife like Megan. Someone in the crowd shouted. Suddenly, everyone started grabbing anything they could find to join in the destruction. After smashing the windows, they even climbed inside, vandalizing the seats and interior. My once pristine luxury car was quickly reduced to a heap of wreckage. I watched these lunatics with a cold glare. I hope when it comes time for you to pay for this mess, you'll be just as eager to take responsibility. But my words fell on deaf ears. They acted like I was invisible. Just then, one of Felicity's lackeys pried open the trunk and shouted, "Hey, look. She's got a bunch of cool stuff hidden back here." Felicity stepped closer, pulling out a painting with a scornful smirk. A sleazy woman who makes a living off her body trying to play connoisseur with a collection. Give me a break. I couldn't help but issue a warning in return. These items are worth far more than my car, especially that painting. I'd advise you to be careful. The contents of my trunk were prized acquisitions from auctions that I hadn't yet found a place for. Felicity's anger flared further at my words. It's a desecration for a creature like you to own such a masterpiece. You're trash. And you deserve to own nothing but trash. I stood there for a few more minutes, watching Felicity, surrounded by our former classmates. They were laughing, boasting, and exchanging smug looks, completely unaware of what was coming. Every insult, every little smirk fueled the rage boiling inside me. They had made a big mistake. They messed with the wrong person. I took a deep breath, feeling the taste of revenge lingering on my tongue. This time, I would savor every moment. When I returned to my wrecked car, I wasn't bothered by the broken glass or the scratches on the paint. In the trunk, along with the folder containing all the company documents, were valuable items, auction paintings, and rare antiques. I knew their worth, and soon, Felicity and the others would learn the hard way. I grabbed the folder and walked away without looking back. Their laughter and sneering remarks still echoed, but they no longer touched me. They were going to pay dearly. When I arrived home, everything Logan had meticulously prepared felt like a cruel joke. Dinner was neatly stored in the fridge, the couch was arranged just the way I liked it, and a small note lay on the table. "Take care, love. I'll be back soon. I love you." It was as if he had two faces, one as the perfect husband for me and another as the groom of the woman now bragging about having stolen him. He thought I would always accept things quietly. Poor man. It was time to show him I was never the weak person he believed me to be. I grabbed my phone and made a few calls. My lawyer, always efficient, confirmed that the asset transfer process was almost complete. In a matter of hours, Logan and Felicity would have nothing left. The company, the house, and even the shares I had temporarily put under his name would be back under my control. Satisfied with the progress, I sent Logan a message. "Be honest with your new wife. How will she feel when she finds out you don't own anything?" Minutes later, he called, his voice frantic. "What did you do, Megan? Are you insane?" "Insane? No, Logan. I'm just taking back what's mine." If Felicity thought she was marrying a rich CEO, she's in for a rude awakening. He tried to explain, beg, and finally threaten me, but it was too late. I hung up on him without hesitation. With every passing minute, my control over the situation grew stronger, and soon, he and Felicity would be standing in the ruins of their own making. The next morning, I woke up early and went to the office of the company Logan was managing. I walked in confidently, and within minutes, I made the announcement that would end his reign. As of today, all operations are back under my control. Logan Ridley is officially removed from any position within all Grand Group. The employees were stunned. There were whispers and surprised glances, but no one dared to challenge me. They knew who I was, and more importantly, they knew my power was real. Before leaving, I issued a press release to the local media announcing that Logan and Felicity no longer had any association with the company. Now, in addition to being broke, they would be left without credibility. That afternoon, while I was finalizing some more details, I received an unexpected call from one of our former classmates who had attended the wedding. "Megan, you won't believe it. Felicity is losing it. She just found out Logan doesn't own anything and is throwing his stuff onto the street." I smiled to myself, satisfied. This was exactly what I had anticipated. Felicity, the woman who believed she had won it all, was now discovering that her marriage was built on a lie. I decided to drive over and witness the spectacle firsthand. When I arrived at their house, the scene was even better than I had imagined. Felicity stood in the middle of the sidewalk, screaming and hurling suitcases at Logan, while he desperately tried to explain himself. "You useless liar. You tricked me," she screamed, tears of rage streaming down her face. "I can explain, Felicity. It's all a misunderstanding," Logan pleaded. But there was no turning back. Neighbors gathered to watch the commotion, some recording with their phones, and I approached silently, savoring every second of their public humiliation. "I told you to ask who the real mistress was, Felicity," I said, cutting into the chaos. She shot me a look full of hatred, but there was nothing she could do. Logan was finished, and she knew it. All the wealth she thought she had acquired was slipping through her fingers. As she continued screaming and breaking objects on the sidewalk, I turned and walked away, leaving them to deal with the mess they had created. In the following days, their downfall became headline news. Felicity was exposed as a gold digger who ended up with nothing but debts. Logan, on the other hand, was seen as a weak, manipulative man who couldn't hold onto anything. As for me, I moved on, stronger than ever. With the company back in my hands and my reputation restored, every step I took served as a reminder of who I truly was. And always, always a lesson. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I spent the following days meticulously closing this chapter of my life. News of Felicity and Logan's downfall spread like wildfire across local media. Images of Felicity crying and throwing Logan's belongings onto the street became memes, and Logan was swiftly branded as a parasite who lost everything. But my revenge wasn't complete, not yet. They needed to feel the full weight of their actions. Only then would justice be served. The first step was ensuring they could never recover. With the company and all assets back under my control, I sold off every property and stock linked to Logan's name, stripping him of any lifeline. I made informal calls to a few financial institutions, further sabotaging his chances of getting any credit. Within days, his accounts were frozen, and he was left with nothing. He was officially bankrupt. Next on my list was Felicity. Her public image was everything to her, and I knew that destroying it would be the final nail in the coffin. I hired a private investigator to uncover any dirt from their wedding and financial mismanagement. It didn't take long to find what I needed. Felicity had racked up enormous debts to fund her extravagant wedding, designer dresses, luxury cars, and over-the-top parties, all built on the false hope that she'd married into wealth. With everything in place, I began to pull the strings. Anonymously, I leaked information to the press about her reckless spending and mounting debts. Within hours, the media latched onto the scandal. Headlines like "Prom Queen's Fairy Tale Turns Nightmare," "Felicity Marries a Broke CEO and Drowns in Debt" dominated the news cycle. The fallout was immediate. Former classmates, once eager to bask in her glory, deleted photos and distanced themselves. Felicity was left alone to bear the weight of her disgrace. Meanwhile, Logan, having nowhere to turn, tried contacting me repeatedly. I blocked every call, every message, and made it clear he was no longer welcome in my life. In the end, he had no choice but to move back in with his parents, defeated and humiliated. Felicity threw him out with nothing but the clothes on his back. From what I heard, he ended up working a dead-end job far from the life he once tried to build. But there was one final touch I couldn't resist. I arranged a private auction and bought Felicity's wedding dress, which had been pawned to cover part of her debts. When the dress arrived at my door, I took a picture of it, carefully folded, and sent her a final message. "Now your fairy tale is part of my collection. I hope it was worth it." They say revenge is sweet, but what I felt was deeper, pure satisfaction. I had reclaimed everything they tried to steal from me. The company was thriving under my leadership, and peace had returned to my life. But the best part was knowing they'd never forget what they did. Every time Felicity or Logan thought of what they once had, they'd also remember who took it all away. With everything finally in order, I closed this chapter for good. I sold the house Logan had lived in with me and bought a new apartment in the heart of the city, modern, spacious, and entirely mine. The past had no place in my new life. Now, every step I take is with the certainty that I'll never allow anyone to underestimate me again. Logan and Felicity, they are just memories, reminders of a lesson they will never forget. And as I move forward, with my company thriving and my life in perfect balance, one thing is certain: if they ever try to rise again, they will forever remain in the shadow of my victory. Today, my life is completely different, and every step I've taken has reminded me that sometimes losing is just the beginning of a true victory. The past, with all its betrayals and humiliation, feels distant, like a storm that has passed, leaving only clear skies behind. I no longer look back in anger, only with satisfaction. That experience taught me something invaluable: never let anyone define my worth, and always keep control of my own success. The company, under my leadership, not only recovered but thrived. Over the past few years, we've opened new branches, secured international partnerships, and expanded into markets Logan could never have imagined. Today, All Grand Group is one of the most recognized companies in its sector, and I'm celebrated not only as a successful businesswoman, but as someone who rose from the ashes. Every achievement is a reminder that power isn't in the hands of those who try to take from you, but in how you fight back. I've since bought my freedom in every sense. I moved into a modern, spacious apartment in the heart of the city with a view of the skyline. I made sure the space was entirely mine, without traces of the past, only reflecting the bright future I built with my own hands. Every detail here speaks to who I've become: strong, independent, and determined. My closet now holds not just the clothes I once dreamed of, but also Felicity's wedding dress, kept as a personal trophy. A reminder, not of hatred, but of triumph. And as for Logan and Felicity, they've become mere shadows of who they once were. Logan, from what I've heard, is stuck in a cycle of temporary jobs, unable to find financial stability. Felicity, on the other hand, has faded into obscurity, clinging to appearances while desperately trying to salvage what little dignity she has left. Occasionally, I hear gossip about her attempts to rebuild her life, but nothing she does will ever shine the way she once believed it would. I, on the other hand, have truly moved on. I've traveled the world, met incredible people, and built a network of connections that opened even more doors. I've also learned to take care of myself in ways I used to neglect, through yoga, meditation, and therapy. It was never about them. It was always about me, about my ability to turn every blow into an opportunity for growth. Recently, I've been invited to give talks on resilience and leadership. It's amusing to think that people now look to me not for the drama, but for inspiration. I speak about overcoming challenges and how setbacks don't define who we are. And although I never mention names, those who know the story understand that I turned what could have been my downfall into a springboard for a better life. Every now and then, I still receive anonymous messages from unknown numbers, likely Logan or Felicity, trying to reconnect. They go unanswered. There's nothing left to say, and nothing they could do to change what has already been done. The past is buried, and I'm far too busy living my present to care. Today, I'm happy. Not because I had to ruin anyone to get here, but because I finally realized that my happiness was never dependent on anyone but myself. The freedom I feel is absolute, and knowing that Logan and Felicity live in the echoes of the choices they made brings me immense peace. So, if you ask how I'm doing today, the answer is simple: better than ever. Every success I achieve is proof that I'm stronger than any obstacle life throws my way. And the best part? Knowing that, no matter what happens, my victory will always be greater than any defeat they once tried to orchestrate for me.